meeting of September 19th to order. Pledge of allegiance by Vice Chair Hamel.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Blackdyke?
Here.
Commissioner Eglin is absent. Commissioner Sakia?
Here.
Vice Chair Hamel?
Here.
And Chair Heady.
Here. Do I hear any reordering of the agenda?
No.
Okay. Presentations, none. Approval of the last of the minutes of the last scheduled meeting of September 5th, 2019. Do I hear a?
I will make that motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I abstain, I was absent.
Okay. Public comment. Members of the audience wishing to address the Planning Commission on matters not on the agenda may do so at this time. No action will be taken on these items at this meeting. Please state your name and address for the record. Comments should normally be limited to 3 minutes. Anybody? Okay. Consent calendar, none. Continued public hearing, none. New public hearings, oh, I love these things. Resolution 19-08, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Buellton, California, recommending to the City Council the approval of a 1-year time extension, 19-TE-02, request for the conditional use permit, 12-CUP-01 for tentative tract map, TTM 31056, for the Meritage Senior Living Project located at Hana Park Road, excessive parcel numbers 099-400-064, 099-400-065, and 099-400-069, off-site portion, and making of findings in support thereof. Staff.
Good evening, Chair Heady and Commissioners. An application has been filed by Norman Williams of NG Investments, the property owner, and Mark Edwards, the agent for the project, for a second 1-year time extension for the previously approved Meritage Senior Living project. This project is located on Hanada Park Road, including a portion of the project which is outside of city limits. The time extension request is for a conditional use permit and a tentative tract map. And attachment 3 includes the project plans dated March 22nd, 2012 that were approved. The project was originally approved by the City Council on October 24th, 2013, and that again included the conditional use permit and tentative tract map. The conditional use permit was set to expire on October 24th, 2018. However, the applicant applied for their first 1-year time extension back on September 19th, 2018, and the time extension was subsequently recommended for approval on December 20th of 2018 and approved by City Council on January 24th, 2019. This is, again, a request for the second 1-year time extension for the project, and if approved by the City Council, or recommended for approval by the Planning Commission and ultimately approved by the City Council, it would be valid through October 24th, 2020. So the Buellton a combination of the Buellton Municipal Code standards and some extensions allowed per state code allows for both the conditional use permit and the tentative tract map to have initial lifespans of 5 years for approvals. And under the Buellton Municipal Code, if the applicant has not started substantial construction on the project, they are entitled to apply for up to 2 1-year time extensions for the conditional use permit and up to 3 for the tentative tract map. This being the second time extension request for both the conditional use permit and the tentative tract map, while the applicant could seek an additional extension beyond this for the tentative tract map, this would be the final extension allowed by the code for the conditional use permit. The Planning Commission may, upon good cause, recommend to the City Council that they grant a 1-year time extension for both the conditional use permit and the tentative tract map. The applicant has indicated the need for the time extension as they continue the search for a qualified owner-operator for the project. So that's the reason for the time extension. And the applicant will have an opportunity to come up if they would like, or if the Planning Commission would like them to answer some questions. But at this point, staff is unaware of any reason to deny the extension. And the recommendation at this point is that the Planning Commission consider the adoption of Resolution Number 1908, recommending the one-year time extension for the project.
Questions for staff?
No.
A question for the applicant.
So if this expires next year and they haven't begun substantial construction, then if they want to bring the project back to life, they have to start from ground zero?
For the conditional use permit, yes, so
Okay,
that's
for the-
correct. So
I
the
mean,
tentative
all the
tract map.
studies that have to be done?
Right, so the tentative tract map they would be entitled to apply for one additional time extension for the tentative tract map, but they would have to come back for the conditional use permit again and back through the process.
Wow,
So,
okay.
yeah.
So this will open the public hearing, and if the applicant is here, we have some questions. Could you state your name?
Sure, I'm Mark Edwards, I'm the agent for N&G, and certainly happy to answer any questions. I would just state that the project is as it was originally reviewed and approved by this commission and the council. We haven't made any changes on that. Again, as staff informed the commission, we're looking for a good operator for the project, and the Williams they have a lot invested in this. They know the town has a lot invested in this project, so they've turned down a lot of applicants for the project, but they just really haven't felt the bill. So we feel the right people are out there. I just in discussions with some people just last week, but it's really just a matter of getting a good fit for the town, and they're not willing to settle for a second-rate kind of a deal. So that's kind of the reason for the extension. They're still very bullish on the project. We think it's a great project for the city, and we'd love to see it come to fruition. So we really would appreciate your support on our request for the extension, and keep our shoelaces crossed so we can find a good person for you.
That pretty much covers it. Only, when you originally went through the process, did you have an operator on board?
We did.
And then,
We did, absolutely. And the Williams themselves were, at that time, more bullish on taking on the businessing of themselves. They've aged. Just a lot of different things have happened in their life where they feel like they don't want to take the business on themselves. They're still going to stay involved in the project. They're not selling it off to somebody and then forgetting about it, but they really need to find the operator that we had at the time has moved on, and that's unfortunate, but it happens. And really wouldn't be trying to tie somebody to the project that they're not going to be able to manage as well. So it wasn't a negative situation, it just didn't work out to continue on with that particular operator, and that was a sorrowful thing because we were very, very pleased with those people, but didn't work out, so we're back to just trying to find someone who we're really happy with.
Other questions?
No, as I get older, I'm looking forward to those projects.
We've had a lot of people with that sentiment, and it's really exciting to, like I said, there's a lot of support, with the Williams to get this thing done, but they just really are hesitant about themselves taking it on, so we need to have a good partner. So that's what we're looking for.
Well, thank you.
Sure, no problem. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support.
I don't have any speaker slips. Anybody else? Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Any comments?
Like to see it happen.
Yeah, I would too. So do I hear a motion? Somebody want to be long-winded?
I will make the motion then. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 1908, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Buellton, California, recommending to the City Council the approval of a one-year time extension, 19-TE-02, request for conditional use permit, 12-CUP-01, and tentative tract map, TTM 31056, for the Meritage Senior Living Project, located on Honda Park Road, assessor parcel numbers 099-400-064, 099-400-065, and 099-400-069,
off-site portion, and making findings in support thereof.
I'll second.
I think we have a roll call.
Yes, Chair Heady,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hamel,
Aye.
Commissioner Blockdyke,
Aye.
and Commissioner Sakia.
Aye.
Good luck. Okay, go on to item number 3. Resolution 19-10, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Buellton, California, recommending City Council approval of an ordinance amending Municipal Code Title 19 zoning relating to certain commercial cannabis activities and making findings in support thereof. Staff, please.
Okay, so this one I'll turn over to Scott Wolf, our city manager.
Okay.
Hi there, Chair Heady, members of the commission. Thank you for the opportunity to present this evening. The item before you tonight is being brought forward at the request of the City Council, who on August 8th directed staff to bring back to them a draft ordinance to permit the operation of cannabis testing or analysis laboratories within the city limits. As you're aware, currently the city's municipal code prohibits any commercial cannabis operations within the city, and testing and analysis laboratories for cannabis falls under that umbrella. The City Council in their discussions found that there were potentially some benefits to allowing the operation of these types of laboratories within the city, probably the foremost being that given the accreditation requirements and the education requirements of the potential employees of such a laboratory, this would be a source of high-paying jobs for residents within the city. Additionally, the City Council, in their discussions, mentioned, along with staff in the discussion, mentioned that the requirements for licensing of these cannabis testing laboratories are unique under state law in that the holder of a cannabis laboratory license cannot hold any other type of commercial cannabis license. So we're not going to see a situation where the laboratory owner or operator is otherwise involved in the commercial cannabis activity. The amount of cannabis material at the laboratory at any given time is very small. It is acquired by the laboratory personnel from the distributors at the distributor's location. The sample size that is collected is dependent upon the batch size, and this is all regulated by state law with, I believe, a maximum of
50 pounds.
50 pounds is the maximum batch size. I'm not sure what I don't recall what the maximum sample size is, but it's measured in grams. It's a very small sample size for each batch that's brought back to the laboratory where testing is done. The entire sample is destroyed through the testing process, be that through burning or through other sort of chemical analysis, chromatography or other things like that. And so while it is technically under state law a commercial cannabis operation, it is not anticipated to have the types of impacts to the city that a typical retail type commercial cannabis operation would have. Increased crime rates, increased traffic rates, those sorts of impacts. The potential is good for such a business to operate here within the city of Buellton, given the potential for growers in close proximity. We've already seen a couple of cultivations begun, and as you're aware, there are a number of applications before the county right now in various stages of the process, which are seeking to find approval to cultivate in the area to the west of the city here. The ordinance before you tonight will do two things. First of all, it would exempt the testing laboratories from the prohibition of commercial cannabis activities, which the municipal code currently maintains, and it would add cannabis testing and analysis laboratories as a conditionally permitted use within the industrial zone or within the M zone, meaning that any application that were to come in for such a laboratory would be required to obtain a conditional use permit, at which point the Planning Commission would have the opportunity to impose any conditions deemed appropriate based on the surrounding area and concerns about impacts to nearby uses. I'll be happy to answer any questions the Commission may have, but at this point I'll conclude my remarks and allow the Commission to discuss this. Thank you.
Questions?
No.
I saw the schedule of fees for some of the activities. Does the city get any of that money, or does that entirely go to the state?
No, that's entirely goes to the state. This is the state handles the licensing of it, and
Okay.
as you know, the state's not likely to give us anything unless they have to.
Okay.
In this case, they don't have to.
Okay. So is there any, besides the income that the scientists, for lack of knowing what else to call them, the testers will be doing, is there any tax or anything that also benefits the city?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
It's not a retail operation, so we're not dealing in sales tax unless, the tax scheme in California is changed to allow the taxation for services. And, who knows, the state may decide that there's some additional money to be tapped from the cannabis industry by allowing taxation on cannabis services, even if not the rest. But for right now, I don't
Okay.
anticipate seeing additional tax revenue.
Thank you.
My concern overall, my main concern is the potential for additional odor nuisance in our city.
Yes.
And you kind of answered that by saying, because my question was, do we really have a handle? Do we know how, when they're testing it, how is it being tested? Is it chemical analysis or burning? And then how is that vented out of the building? Is it just vented right into our air?
It depends on the type of testing, and unfortunately, I'm not familiar with all the different tests. I know that there's probably some chromatography involved, which is more chemically liquid-oriented. Whether they have to burn a portion of the sample in order to test for certain impurities, that I don't know. We could certainly find that out. But if that were the case, that's fairly easy to control. We're talking about an industrial ventilation hood like you would find in any analysis laboratory. And the commission, through the conditional use permit process, could simply require them to install charcoal filters sufficient to filter out the particulate matter and any of the odors that would escape the building. I think we're dealing with sample sizes so small that by the time it left the exhaust vent at the top of the building and were to drift anywhere, the smell would be dissipated. But it's certainly perfectly acceptable to impose such a condition to ensure that we don't have impacts to nearby uses.
Other questions?
No.
I'd like to open the public hearing. If somebody, I don't have a speaker slip, but I see one coming. State your name and address, please.
Peggy Brierton. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Peggy Brierton, Buellton, and 225 Terrace Lane. First of all, that was one of my questions that I had, was ventilation and what can be done, so I wholeheartedly support some kind of charcoal filter or industrial or whatever that be written in. My other questions would be, how many would be allowed? I mean, the ordinance could state, could we have one, could we have two, or whatever? I think that would be important to have, or not, at least discuss it. And what zones would be allowed? I mean, in the ordinance, it just says all zoning districts are prohibited, but is that something that we're going to allow in commercial as well as light industrial, just industrial? I mean, I just not sure about those. So those were my three concerns. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I think it's well noted, but I also heard that it's a conditional use permit, so, we would have the choice to, or you would have the choice to allow it or not.
Yeah, that's
given
correct.
I'd
So
I'd
it
like to
would
close
be-
the public hearing and bring it back.
Yeah.
Comments?
Security is my most important thing, and I'm kind of satisfied after reading all this that this is not going to impose a criminal element that would hurt, the people of Buellton. So and I'm glad that Patty brought up the odor issue. But it seems like that could be mitigated. Do we need to write something into this ordinance to control that, or?
So I think the purpose of this, and Scott can speak further if need be, but, at this point, it's just the recommendation, the commission would be recommending to the council that the changes to the ordinance, because there would be a CUP process involved in any individual testing lab facility that would come in. Much of the conditions of approval would be likely specific to that particular testing lab, and at that time, those types of details could be included in the approvals.
Since few of us know what's going on here, I think the staff might want to go to an existing lab to see how they dispose of the materials after they're done with it, and to see that, that there isn't any smoke coming out of the labs, and that the staff is straight.
Field trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did do a little bit of research on the nearest, and
Oh.
I think there's some near LA, Northridge, and some in the Bay Area, so.
Yeah, I did some research too, and they're few and far between in California, surprisingly. I think within 100 and something mile radius, there was only 3, and nothing close to being in the valley here.
They are, and there's a serious shortage of them if you talk to the cannabis, not necessarily the growers, but the distributors. There are not enough of them to go around currently, which kind of makes this a part of the industry that would be in demand. And the state regulation requirements on this are extremely restrictive, and the accreditation requirement is very difficult to obtain, given the stringency of the state. I'd love to go pay a visit to one of these things. I didn't have the opportunity to do that, but I did speak to someone, a contact I have in the industry, who explained the process to me. And the state law specifies just how these samples are to be disposed of. And from what I understand, that the entirety of the sample for each sample that's brought in is destroyed through the testing process alone. So there's no additional destruction required after that. It's completely devoid of any use after the testing is complete.
Other issues, comments?
It was a huge document, 138 pages, and it also included the requirements for the folks that will be doing the testing and supervising the testing.
Yeah.
They have to be pretty well accredited.
Yeah.
So,
I happen to have a distant nephew who does this, I think either in Michigan or Minnesota, and he is very well paid. I mean, he has a master's in chemical engineering. And so, I mean, that would be the benefit to this city is, we have a lot of service jobs, but not very many high-paying, $80,000 to $90,000 jobs on there, so I'm not opposed to it. Do I hear a motion?
I motion to approve resolution number 19-10, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Buellton, California, recommending City Council approve of an ordinance amending Municipal Code Chapter 19.20 regarding commercial cannabis activities and cannabis cultivation, and making findings in support thereof.
Do I hear a second?
I will second that motion.
Could we have a roll call, please?
Chair Heady,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hamel,
Aye.
Commissioner Blockdyke,
Aye.
Commissioner Sarkia.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion passes.
Next, we come to other business, none. Any written communication? Planning Commissioner comments? Okay, the Planning Director report.
Okay, I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce our new assistant planner, Kara Michi. She comes from, she holds a master's degree in city and regional planning from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and she just started with us here on Monday, so we're excited to have her.
Great.
Welcome.
And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Trying to think, no status reports or no status changes any place?
Not much. The only thing I actually may mention is there's been a lot of questions about when is Village Park opening, and so we are putting together a lot of the documents for City Council related to transferring the park over to the city, and also dealing with some last minute items with the actual park construction. So we're looking more reasonably likely in the end of October, early November timeframe for an opening at this point, but just wanted to give you guys an update on that timeline.
Looking pretty nice.
Yeah.
A good amenity for the people in the townhouses.
Definitely. And that's all I have.
That's it, then we'll adjourn at...
I just have one clarification I would like to ask. I was checking on the equipment functioning, and I missed the person who seconded the first motion on the Meritage Senior Living. That would be,
Didn't you?
I made the motion.
No.
no, on the first
Oh,
item.
on the first item?
Yeah.
Do you second it?
I thought you did. I'll second it.
I think you.
Oh,
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that enough clarity there?
That's totally clear as mud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to declare the meeting over at 6:21.
Woo-hoo. Okay. Great job, everybody.
Boy, 138 pages.